My name is Phil Samita. I'm the sponsor of the Maine West team for esports, and actually technically it's a club for esports. And I wanted to do a quick narration of the parent information that we gave out at the Tuesday, September 26th meeting. I know many of you could not be there. There was a choir concert and there were several other items too, but we wanted to be able to explain what was going on with it, so feel free to watch the presentation. We're going to discuss 7 different topics. We're going to talk about what esports actually is, what's the structure of esports and of the team, why there needed to be a parent meeting for esports and a parent video for that matter, what the practices and competitions look like, how often your student will need to be in front of the computer or the console if that's what they need to do, what the monetary outlay might be for being a member of the esports team, and what are the benefits for being involved with esports, which are numerous. Esports, I just pulled the definition off of Wikipedia. It's a form of competition that is facilitated by electronic systems, particularly video games. You can see the picture on the bottom right is a pretty big esports competition. Ours won't be like this, but it will be the same kind of thing, which is students will be competing against one another playing video games. But it'll be in a team setting that's structured around the school that they attend. Again, it hasn't existed for forever. It's only existed for maybe 3 years. 2014 was the first year they had official high school level esports teams. So we wanted to, students came to me and said they were interested in doing it, so we're going to try it out here at Maine West. What's the structure of esports? It's pretty much the same as physical sports. Students are going to try out, and your students may have already been trying out. They've been assigned to play games versus other students, and then they record their stats, take screenshots of what their numbers look like after they were done. They send them to team captains. The team captains look over all those numbers and they rank students based on their ability. Now it's a no-cut activity, so all students that are interested will get a chance to play. But the top students, the ones with the highest scores and the most ability, will be on the highest ability level teams. And they will be assigned to a squad based on ability. And that's how they'll be assigned to play at the competitions. Now, students practice playing one another on their assigned game and assigned time. Of course, it makes sense. If they want to get good at something, they're going to work together to be good at it. And the competitions are held where students play with their squad versus other teams. And then the results are tabulated and posted in a ranking. And that's our regular season. That's what students will do both in the fall and the spring. Why does there need to be a parent meeting at all? I mean, for most activities, there is not a parent meeting. Well, there were some things I want to be able to explain. For one, esports is new. We wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a thing that your student made up so they could get out of, they could stay up all night playing video games. That really is a school-sponsored activity. The money that's paid to run the esports program works a little differently. You won't pay me anything, but there are some things you'll need to pay and manage in terms of esports. Esports has some home needs, and those are some of the things we're talking about. And it has some subjects and actions that make parents uncomfortable, and we wanted to address those head on first. Now, why would you be uncomfortable with esports as a parent? I'm a parent. My kids play video games, and some of them make me uncomfortable, and these are some of the things that you should know. The kids chat during the games. They put the headsets on and they talk to one another. They talk only to members of their team. They won't be talking to members of other teams or to other people that they don't know personally. So they will chat online, and sometimes they are nice. I mean, they may, not be as kind or as thoughtful as they should be. Now, of course, we are expecting a high level of sportsmanship, but sometimes those things do happen. Now, the chat server that actually allows them all to talk at the same time does try to filter out inappropriate language, but sometimes students are smart and they know how to get around it, so sometimes some of those things do let fly. Of course, if you've ever been close to the basketball court or or at the 50-yard line of a football game, you know that those players are not particularly kind to one another either. So it's a normal part of playing a sport, but we wanted you to be aware that it happens. Now, the games themselves, of the games we play, most of them, except for Rocket League, are rated at teen or above. They have some violent or suggestive comment. Counter-Strike Global Offensive, is a first-person shooter. Some people are uncomfortable with that. It has violent content. Your son or daughter may be shooting at someone within the game. And the age level is 15 plus. League of Legends is a multiplayer online battle arena game. It's a bunch of people fighting with a bunch of people in a space. There's some animated violence there, 13 plus. Hearthstone is an online card game. It has some references to drinking in it because I think there's some potion related references. It's 13 plus. And Overwatch is a first person shooter. It has some violent content too, and it's 13 plus. I want to point out that there will be no adult watching them play during the practices. I believe there are adults watching during their competitions, but there will be no adults watching them during the practices themselves, so that might make you uncomfortable too. You can see there's a picture of League of Legends that just shows that the people are all kind of like locked in battle. They all move around. There's some animated violence, some blowing up of things. Overwatch looks more like what you would expect from a first-person shooter. You can see the hand holding the gun. There will be some shooting at other people in this game, or other characters, I should say. Same with Counter-Strike Global Offensive, or CSGO as we call it. There will be some shooting. I want to point out that that these games are strategy-based, so they're not rewarded for just taking their machine gun and just shooting like at everyone. You know, that calls attention to them, and that creates problems that will make more work and could lead to their downfall. Also, they only have a limited amount of ammunition, so that plays a role in their desire to. In terms of practices and competitions, for practices and tournaments, they will log in from home, and they'll play the games with their squad members versus others. Just like any practices, there are scheduled times, and those times will be posted. We have a website for the team. Okay, the practice information will be distributed through school email, and students have subscribed to the Remind text program. They'll get a text about when practices or tournaments take place. If you went to Meet the Teacher Night, you saw that some teachers would give you like a phone number that when you texted, they would send you back a text message with information about what the teacher was doing. This is no different. They will not go later than 9 p.m. Your son or daughter should not be staying up all hours of the night and saying, hey, I'm practicing for my team. They really don't need to stay up late practicing. The tournaments, again, they'll log in from home and do those with the team, and they are scheduled. The tournaments for the fall semester are actually already posted on the HSEL website that I've linked to. You can also find a link to it on our Esports website. But those generally are, there's one on a weekend and one on a weekday. They take between 45 and 90 minutes in order to take place. The game itself generally doesn't take more than an hour. We have for 5 games. One is League of Legends, one is Rocket League, one is Rocket League is the game that's on the bottom picture. It looks like there's a car, and it pushes a soccer ball into a goal. There's a goal on either side. Hearthstone is that card game that's in the upper right-hand corner. It looks kind of like Magic the Gathering. And Overwatch and Counter-Strike Global Offensive, you saw earlier, they're first-person shooters. How often will your student need to be in front of the computer or consoles? Well, during practice times and competitions, they've made a commitment to be there. Of course, if they cannot be there, they're going to go to their team captain and talk to him or her about what they can and cannot do and make arrangements accordingly. Okay, just like any other practice, they're expected not to be doing their homework during the practice. They're going to plan their classwork, so they have time for these practices and competitions. There's a fall season. Starts in about 2 weeks on October 8th, and it goes until about the beginning toward the middle of December. And there's a spring season. They haven't announced the times, but it looks like in the past it's been from February till probably April. The schedules? Well, the team captains have asked to practice up to 8 hours a week, but they've already sort of recognized that that's sort of a high bar to have that much practice time. Although regular sports do have an hour and a half to 2 hours of practice per day for some days a week. So 8 hours is reasonable, but they think it's going to be difficult. So they're just saying that's the amount they would like to have. But during that time, they're going to keep the expected GPA, 2.0 weighted a C average they should be able to keep. Attendance will be taken by team captains. Then they'll report those hours to me. Team captain's going to set up the practice dates and times. All those practices have to end before 5, and they're going to be held online, so they can stay at home and work those things. You won't have to transport them to and from the practices, which is a bonus. Schedule for games, the tournament stages. The first one is the regionals. That's what we're going to start on, I think it's, like I said, October 8th. There's one on the weekend and one on a weekday. It's a Swiss system, so the better teams will play the better teams, and the less capable teams play the less capable teams. Then the best 8 teams will go to the regional finals. Then they'll play a single elimination tournament at those, and the best teams among those go to nationals. Now, we don't know anything about nationals, so we're actually still working to figure out what nationals are and when they are. As we know more, we will let you know. I will promise you this, though. We will not sock you with large, uncalculated or unknown expenses. Well, as we know more, if we find out that our team is capable of going to a national competition, we'll talk to you about that. How much will it cost you? Well, you'll need a computer that'll play the game. Rocket League can be played on a computer console or on a video game console. And the only console that our league will accept right now is the PlayStation 4, the PS4. If you have an Xbox 360, you can certainly use it to play Rocket League, but you can't use it to play in our competitions. Most gaming computers, like I said, are desktop PCs. Macintoshes aren't the ones they can use. They tend to have dedicated video cards and have plenty of RAM, 8 to 16 gig. And their hard drive space is either 256 or 205 or 12 meg or gigabyte SSDs, the solid state drives, or fast 1 terabyte hard drives. You tend to have those. And you have to be able to own the game that you're playing. Now, you can buy many of them at like a store like Best Buy or Micro Center. You can also download them through Steam, the way that they do already. You'll need broadband internet access because they'll have to be connected to the internet while they play the game. Otherwise, they can't play together. In terms of fees, the one fee that they'll have to pay, or you'll have to pay, is $5 a month. Varsity Esports requires that just to keep up the infrastructure and the other costs related to it. So you pay that yourself via a credit or debit card. You don't do it through the bookstore. Okay, they'll go to Varsity Esports, create an account, sign in, and then after they've signed in, they will go ahead and keep using that computer. They can log in through other devices too if they have more than one. This must be completed by September 30th, though. We need to make rosters by October 1st, so all the team members have to be registered by September 30th in order for us to be able to have those rosters ready to go. Now, I've talked about a lot of things related to it, but I haven't talked much about the benefits. It's an organized way of playing games with friends. Many times people look at video games and say, oh, they're kind of antisocial. But we're looking to make them more social. It's a way to take the games and not just play them with strangers or play them versus the computer, but to play them with people that you really know. Your game friends will be real life friends. When you're talking to them, you're talking to people you'll see at school the next day, people you'll build relationships with. We're going to, connects the gameplay into school and it connects to your GPA. You have to have a C average in order to play your game. So you're going to want to keep that C average because you don't want to lose your game playing privileges. Many of the students in our program are not students that have done other types of sports. So they haven't had the experience of learning how to be sportsmanlike. They haven't learned how to add discipline and drive, how to get better at something, how to be able to manage setbacks the way that students that have done actual physical sport may have. So hopefully we can add discipline and drive to an area they already love. There can be some money in it. There's some scholarship money for different universities. And then other universities will actually scholarship you completely. One of our students, I believe, is going to Robert Morris College next year on a scholarship that he got for playing games. So there are actual monetary advantages to it as well. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. You have my email. It's psumida@maine207.org. Thanks again for listening.